Hello and welcome everyone to another Focus Labs, hopefully useful webinar we're going to see today. Today we're talking about licensing in the new era of SAP Cloud ERP, operate smarter with FinOps. I wouldn't be know what I'm talking about, so that's why definitely Tony Wise and Francisco Ahansen are here. Tony, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi everyone, I'm sure most of you have joined our webinars before, but if you haven't, my name is Tony Wise. I manage Focus Labs in APAC and Middle East Africa. I've been in SAP licensing for more years than I'm going to tell you, so thank you again for joining.
Francisco.
Yeah, hi, I'm Francisco Hansen. I'm responsible for products and services as CTPO at Focus Labs on a global basis. And same as Tony, I've been working the last too many years in software negotiations and software license management.
Thanks, you too. My name is Stefan Pavlik. I'm responsible for communications and marketing, and the one probably asking the silly questions today on your behalf. If I miss out on something, please make sure you use the questions panel. No worry about compliance, so your name is not going to be visible. Ask wherever you want, and if it's too complicated for here, we're going to come back to you outside of the webinar. Now I would say, let's kick it off. I'm going to jump straight over to the first slide, and here we go.
Thank you very much, Stefan. So the starting thought, the background of this, for many, many years, software asset management tools and companies have been measuring quantities. Gartner last year, their analyst team started saying, well, the future of the software asset manager is about governance, not counting licenses, meaning especially this is all a financial question. So the licenses, the counting of the licenses is a nice thing, but why don't you just let people who are specialists in that, do the donkey work, do the counting, the consolidation, all of those things, and take care of what's important. The following money risks, financial risks that come from this surpluses, from these deficits that you might have. So governing, meaning understanding where you are with your compliance, the financial impact of this compliance situation, and managing the changes, preparing for audits, preparing for negotiations, strategic planning, etc. And today we are going to show you how we approach this in the future. And today we started almost a year ago now, with our FinOps practice, our FinOps tools, and this is what we are going to showcase to you today. So it's about consumption measurement. Yes, it's a part of it, of course, but where is the focus? The focus is FinOps based software license governance. What is the process to get there? What tools do we use and what benefits do you get out of this? So we'll show you a real system, a FinOps system specifically targeted for SAP governance today, and show you the process, the tools, the duration of the implementation, and explain a bit about the environment and how this is working out. So next slide.
I think one thing to bear in mind, Francisco, of course, before we start on this one, is that a lot of our customers, a lot of SAP customers are not moving to the cloud, of course. So yes, today we're talking about FinOps, and we're talking about how we manage a cloud environment and how we manage the concept of the future landscape. But let's not lose sight of the fact that I was at an SAP event only recently, and something like 31% of SAP customers had no intention of moving to S4, or even by 2027, or even by 2030. So we at Focus Labs manage the old world in the on-premise, but as we know, the future is cloud from many of the multi-vendors.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because that's an important fact. I mean, FinOps was original infrastructure management, but this is not what we are meaning today. The way we have adapted and adopted FinOps is managing software licenses from a financial standpoint. And in fact, it does make sense to do this even when you're on premises. Because even there, you have infrastructure costs, you have services for SAP, you have other things. So there is more to it, because this is about the complexity. We've been hearing over the last months that software asset management and software license management with SAP has become so simple. They have simplified a lot of things. You don't have that many users anymore. You don't have as many engine metrics anymore. So what's true and what's not true about it, in our opinion? So it is true that the total number of metrics when it comes to engines or line of business solutions, as SAP calls them, has gone down from 100 when I counted them last like 1.5 years ago to 57 as I counted them yesterday on the price list. So that's a relevant reduction. On the other hand, of course, now you have SAP Cloud products, you have BTP, you have new consumption types like consumable licenses, non-consumable licenses, cumulative licenses. That sadly has increased the complexity. And what comes on top of that is the user license management. User license management is really an annoying thing today. So in the past, we were licensing users based on their activity, what they do in the system. Now, silently, in the course of the last years, SAP changed the contracts to say use rights are based on the roles and authorizations that you give people. And then they introduced a star assessment. And they introduced SAM for You as a tool to display why people are being assigned an advanced user on the SAP Cloud ERP on the basis of what roles and what authorization objects and activity types. Now, does that make sense? In our opinion, it doesn't. So roles and authorizations were thought to rule security within SAP. They were thought to rule segregation of duties. They were thought to manage access within SAP. Now suddenly you're expected to also rule the license types that people have. And that just doesn't work out. SAM for You, the tool that SAP brought out, displays how wrong your roles and authorizations are to decide what license types your people need. If you have 20 users, it's a perfect tool. If you have more than 200 users, 500 users, 20,000 users, it will be impossible to correct your license setup with the help of SAM for You or PFCG or the tools that you have in a standard SAP system. And that's a big issue. So we challenge this today by saying that activity-based licensing still makes much more sense in this context. But also we are, of course, thinking of approaches to correct licenses in the future, correct roles and authorizations from this licensing perspective. Does it make sense? It doesn't in our eyes. But this is what you got. This is what your contract says. So with time, as time goes by, you will have to correct this. Any comments on this, Tony? Do you have a different view? What do you think about this?
You know, I think you've hit the nail on the head. We used to tell customers how complex SAP licensing was. We used to tell them there are 10 different named user types. We used to tell them there were 100+ metrics. We used to tell them that there was this indirect use concept and how difficult it all was to track and measure. And now you you expand that by 2-3 times, because not only are you looking at your users, not only are you looking at your engines, you're looking at different ways of deploying your software, different ways of provisioning your users, different way of paying for the software. it's just gone in a weird and wonderful direction. And I'm not even suggesting that SAP has done this deliberately. This is a common theme for me. I don't believe that SAP deliberately goes out of its way to make things complicated. It's just the nature of the beast. And unfortunately now, whereas 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you'd have your ERP environment, let's say you'd have your named users and your engines, and you had to worry about making sure that you license the right users and you license the right quantity of the engines. Now you have all these different other sources, all these different ways of licensing, all these different things that are interfacing with or interacting with your SAP environment. And the notion of simplicity, unfortunately, has been replaced by ever increasing complexity. I think that's the message you were giving, Francisco. And
Yeah,
I'm not suggesting to say SAP did that deliberately. It's just the way it's evolved. It's just the way it is.
agree. I don't think that really matches the strategy of SAP, which, in my opinion, is really facilitating things for customers. SAP is trying with all means to contribute value to the customers with their tools, with what they do, with so many helps and support to make your migration to Cloud ERP, to SAP S/4HANA simpler, with methodologies, with tools that help you get out there. And this stands in opposition to this overly complex license management that we have today. But it's how it is, and this is why we are developing tools to facilitate this. So consolidation is one of the things that was in our eyes when we developed VOQUZ FinOps Manager. We have some measurements that come, the cloud measurements that are displayed in SAP for me today. We have some measurements with the measurement services that you have on BTP, consumption measurement services that we can connect to. We have SAMQ to measure the core ERP system by activity or with a star assessment. And then what we don't have, and this is some manual work that we add to that, is the financial assessment. Very often clients don't have line item pricing for their single product. So we add to that, we calculate, we complete the consumption data with financial data so that when you see surpluses, deficits, etc., you can see them financially too. Okay, let's move on. So another remark here. When FinOps started and the FinOps organization set up this methodology, these principles, it was all about cloud infrastructure. Now Tony came up with the idea, well, FinOps looks like an interesting development. Why don't we use this for SAP? Now SAP is software. It's software as a service in the meantime. It's a platform as a service. It's on-premises perpetual software too. So many different concepts here. Does FinOps fit? Does it not? We thought it does. And we developed tools to use FinOps to govern and manage SAP licensing. Are we the only ones here? What do you say, Tony?
We're not the only ones to talk about it, but I think we're the only ones in the market to really concentrate on the SAP environment and to really focus on what matters for SAP customers. So yes, I've not come across a competitor that would be as focused and as experienced as us in the SAP space.
Yeah, and when you develop products, of course, you question what you're doing and you question this is the right way to go. Now, in the meantime, a couple of clients are using the FinOps principles to manage software as a service and the private cloud too. So I'm happy to see that others are recognizing the value in doing so. And we have implemented all of these methodologies in one tool that is called the VOQUZ FinOps Manager. That's exactly what we will be showcasing now in the next minutes. How about the principles?
This slide is actually very important, Francisco, I think, because this highlights exactly what we were talking about earlier. There was a transition from the the SAM concept in the perpetual, relatively easy, believe it or not, model that we had before, into the concept of FinOps and making sure that everyone who's consuming your software across the whole organization is responsible for what they're doing, and it's centrally managed by someone. But as I said, everyone needs to understand the impact on the company's software costs by the actions that they take in their department. So as we go around this circle, I mean, I won't talk to every point, of course, but multiple teams need to collaborate. Everyone needs to understand the impact of what they're doing. It needs to be managed centrally, but it doesn't mean to say that other people aren't involved or responsible. And so this is the concept of our FinOps, and this is what we utilize in our advisory queue FinOps manager. I know you've got lots to say, Francisco. I'd really like to introduce the tool itself, if we can. Can we show people exactly what we're talking about, and you can see, everyone, the different aspects of what we're talking about, bringing into play the different licensing models, the different aspects of the SAP infrastructure, all into one place. And Francisco is going to do a very nice demonstration of exactly what we mean by that in our own tooling.
So let us log into the system. That's advisory queue, and we choose FinOps Manager, not Business Case Builder, which is a tool for strategy design. But today we are talking about FinOps to manage SAP financials, SAP costs, SAP contracts, etc. So what is this all about? The starting screen that you see here, the idea is to provide you a quick insight on where you are with SAP. Your company manages 600 million dollars in revenue. You have 40,000 employees. You have a yearly spend of $12 million. That's one aspect. Many people don't have that. And when we talk about value management for using SAP and understanding what value it provides to a company, you should have in your mind as a CIO immediately, what am I managing in this company? How big is my company? On the other hand, the SAP dimensions. I'm spending $34 million a year on SAP. That's my budget. So today, this year, my actual costs have gone up to 37.59 million. I have right now risks, so things that I will have to true up to license, additional things that I haven't contracted yet, or additional consumption of around $5 million. On the other hand, I have $37,000 in products that I'm not using. That's not a lot compared to this 34 million that I'm licensing. So that should be more or less fine. And my people are already planning to buy another 33,000 in additional licenses that we have today. Why are we displaying this magnitudes here? Well, this is your leverage and your importance when you discuss things with SAP, negotiate things. This is how important as a client you are. This is how much you're growing with SAP, how much you're planning to or having to buy, maybe based on the growth of your company, additional employees because your company is growing or you're growing in revenue, etc. These are the products that you need to swap. You are not using them anymore, so whenever you plan to buy more, you swap those. And these are additional needs coming out of other projects. So that's giving you a first insight into things. Are we compliant? No. We have a negative compliance of 15% right now. 6,500 users in the system. So remember, 40,000 employees, 6,500 users. Then we have the employees that are relevant for success factors, the people that we are managing with our human resources systems. We have some BTP costs, SAP Analytics Cloud, digital access, HANA, etc. So it's a first view. Right now, we have six quarters in the system and 22 measurement documents. We discovered 10 products that need a true-up. 42 products are compliant. That's the first insight. So what do we manage here? So if you remember the FinOps principles, it's all about measuring, analyzing, understanding those changes that are happening in your company, and then taking measures of change to improve, to optimize, and then the cycle starts again. So first of all, it's about your inventory. Funny enough, I remember very well, every time I ask an SAP manager or a CIO, how much are you spending with SAP every year? It is difficult for 99% of our customers to answer this question. They don't remember. So we want you to remember. We want you to have a very, very clear picture of what you're spending with SAPs. We'll help you out in completing this bill of materials here, but not having the bill of materials that you get in SAP for me. We want you to have a bill of materials that shows exactly the important parts here. So the product, maybe the product and product group, product and cost group, total net OPEX that you're spending there with this product. So you can see, let's order them and see immediately what are the most expensive products that I'm spending my money on. And you can see this on the top here by groups, by product groups, the private cloud, the line of business portfolio, so the engines, the users, digital access, HANA, etc. Or eventually we want to segment these by cost groups that you can configure freely. But here you have the ERP on-prem software. Here you have your RISE infrastructure, RISE with SAP products, users, another RISE product here, the global trade services, because it's a relevant one, success factors, etc. So it's all about analyzing and understanding where your money is going with SAP. And here we are talking about your inventory, what you have already purchased. It's not about what you're consuming in reality, it's the global view. You can build your own pivot tables here, you can do this differently. But so the message, I have 34 million spent in OPEX every year. Out of those, 70 million are subscriptions. The rest is maintenance. This is what I'm handling as an SAP manager. You can filter, you can analyze, so understand where your money is going. So we handle measurements, and I won't get into that, but we import the measurements from the different sources that we mentioned. So self-declaration, the cloud measurements, the on-prem measurements, the BTP measurements, everything that is available with SAP, we can import here. And since this is a managed service, we will do this for you so you can use the data, analyze the data. But the donkey work, so to say, is what we are doing today. We will be doing for you. So we match the single measurements of an engine, something between 1 and 20 measurements to the single products, and help you understanding the consolidated data and your consolidation history. In the end, what do we want to get to? Well, mostly the effective license position that you have in a single moment, but also the historical development of this effective license position. So starting with the effective license position, what is it really? We are talking mostly about the products and the compliance situation that you have here. So we have our products here. You can see the total net OPEX as you spend it. You can see how much you're licensing and what your usage is in OPEX, basically. So quantitatively, some products are green, so you're compliant. Some products are red, you're not compliant there. And some of them show no differences here. You can just show and show me a product that I'm not using, or show me the products that show a deficit. Some customers have special agreements with SAP where they only true up when they have a deficit bigger than 5%. So I can filter this, or bigger deficits here, greater than 15%, or show me a surplus that is greater than 30%. Maybe products where I should be renegotiating the quantity that I have licensed with SAP. So it's about transparency. It's about seeing everything that the customer has and getting the whole picture from a financial standpoint. We use as the central metric here the yearly OPEX. The yearly OPEX shows you what you're spending every year with a product, not the CAPEX that you once spent in the past. We display everything here, and you can choose what fields to display, the CAPEX, the OPEX, but we think that the most visible metric here is the OPEX. You can go directly to the risks when you display your ELP. I want to understand which products do I have to true up. So that's something where we concentrate our eyes on. How far will our costs increase over the next year? And you can dig deeper into the financials of every product group, be it the cloud costs, be it the specific on-prem costs, etc. So let's have a look into that. How does that look? So maybe I want to look into the user part. This is my overall situation. What am I consuming versus what am I licensing? But let's look, for instance, into the users. So I have 8,000 user licenses purchased. I'm consuming 8,600. So I have certain deficit here, not very relevant though. And I could, on my display here, consolidate on the deficit again. So I can see the deficits on the user license quantitatively or in total. But let's focus on all again and display everything here. What do I have? The license blocks, the usage blocks, and the gap that I have. So I have a negative value here. On the professional users, you can see negative 500. This was the users. Maybe I want to look into my passport. So digital access, 10,000 digital access documents licensed, 11,000 consumed. So again, I have a certain deficit here. Or I go into my cloud products and want to display my cloud product situation. What is the total OPEX, CAPEX situation here? Purchased, consumed. So I'm consuming already a bit more than I licensed. Okay, so that's a bit the insight. Another thing, I want to be able to budget and to prepare my negotiation for the future. How do I do that? Well, to prepare your budget for next year, you want to gain visibility into the trends and the development, the growth of specific metrics. So this is my current situation in Q3 2025. Maybe I want to look into the 4 last quarters. And I haven't updated now Q4, but what I can see here is which products have been growing, or product groups in this case, cost groups. Let's change to product groups. I can show what product groups are growing. So ERP on-premise software has grown from Q2 to Q3 by 7.7%. Okay, so another question could be, what metrics are driving this in my company? Look, data objects is a relevant metric here in my company. And you can see that my growth went from 2.4 million to 2.6 million on the metric of data objects. So probably master data management here, the tenants, the named users. So it's about understanding, is it revenue, is it employees, is it other metrics that cause my license costs to go up? But I can dig deeper and look at the products here. So now I'm looking at the single products in my company, and as we as we assumed, it is master data governance, what is growing here. So by 20% Q1 to Q2 and Q2 to Q3, another 8.3%. So it's interesting. Now the question is, where will we end up by the end of the year? And if we go to the end of the year, the system is telling us it will end up with 3 million. But if I am budgeting for next year, then I would want to see the view by the end of next year. And this is basically here on the right side, Q4 2026, 4.2 million. So, and if I look at the total, you can see that today I have an estimated spend of 2 million, and here I would be already in a total of 12. And that's a bit the idea. The idea is understanding what drives costs in my company, what changes costs, be it from a global view like the on-prem software, RISE infrastructure, RISE with SAP. What is growing? What is changing? What can I control? What do I have an influence on? And what can't I change? Because it's just my company growing. So you can't understand any of this if you don't analyze costs. So analyzing quantities of licenses, analyzing whether you have 2 or 3 units of master data governance doesn't say anything at all. And if we are to value or to analyze the value and the contribution of SAP to our company, we need to understand, of course, what we are paying for the single categories. So to understand if we are getting the right return on investment of a certain product group, we need to understand what this product group in particular is costing us. And this is why FinOps is the right approach here, and this is how we are doing this.
Thanks for this. I think it's always good actually to see what you're talking about, not only in theory, but what that tool would really work, how that tool would really work. Tony, any takes on this?
I can only reiterate what you just said. I mean, everything that we said before the demo pales into insignificance compared to seeing it in action. We can talk theory all we like, but actually seeing the effect of what we do and the visibility that it gives to customers, and not just the visibility, but the actionable visibility, which I think is the most important thing. Thanks, Francisco. I thought that was fantastic. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what else do we do? We can see the benefits of what we're doing: cost efficiency, agility, transparency. I think this is all relatively self-explanatory, to be honest with you. Let's look at some of the other tooling that we use. So if you're familiar with FOCUS Labs, we have SAMQ. We have the licensing optimizer tool. It's been around for a decade, market leading. You all know about it. It's one of the big feeds into our FinOps manager. You've just seen the FinOps manager in action. We also have the business case builder, which helps customers decide what flavor of SAP ERP they want to move into. We do all the TCO analysis. We look at the infrastructure. We look at the services. We look at the licensing to help you move to the right environment for you as an organization, rather than for SAP for their bottom line. We do cost allocation and consolidation, so you can see exactly where your costs are being used within your organization. And then, of course, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we are a tooling company, but tools are, to a certain extent, just tools. We do have our expertise. We do have our advisory services, and then we wrap all of this into our managed services. So we don't just do this as a one-off. We help customers have this governance and oversight into the foreseeable future. And we have many customers already. We only launched this, a year ago, Francisco, something like that, maybe 18 months ago. And we already have many customers taking advantage of this service. So we're obviously very gratified that we visualized it. We're gratified to Francisco for building it, and we are very gratified to our customers for using it.
So, and giving credit to people, something that Martin contributed very much to was also the idea of toolifying our knowledge and structuring our knowledge and our methodology into tools. So as you said, the most important thing in our company is, of course, the people, the knowledge that people are contributing to things, the people that are partnering with customers to achieve results and improve results. Now, what I like and what I want to give Martin credit for is the idea of using tools to be more efficient. And every time you repeat a process and you establish a methodology, you can use tools to be quicker. So it's not about the tool. The tool helps us being more efficient, visualizing things better, understanding things better. But in the end, it is using these tools and bringing them together with the knowledge of the people that gets you the right value in what we are doing.
So Francisco is referring to Martin Kogel, just for everyone who's listening, who's our CEO, and talking about partnering with our customers. As a customer, I would like to know how does this work? How long does it take to implement this? What's sort of the timeline? I'm going to jump to the next slide. Maybe one of you guys can go over it.
I think we'll probably do this together, because it's not as long-winded as you think. To get things up and running, and I say Francisco described it very well, we may have all the knowledge in the world, but repeatability is something, and accuracy is something that's very important to us as well. So we use our SAM-Q tooling, we use our advisory Q tooling to make sure we give customers the visibility and the insights into their current environment and into what is needed in their future environment. And that's not really huge. We're not talking about years of engagement. We're talking about weeks of engagement to get people to a stage, get customers to a stage where they feel comfortable that they have the knowledge they need to work with SAP and with us in managing their environment. And then Francisco, then we move into your baby, the FinOps, everything else.
Yeah. So we talk here about 8 to 16 weeks. It's difficult sometimes to be fair about this. Project durations. Bear in mind, we have customers with 300 users in SAP and customers with almost 1 million users in SAP. So the complexity is very different from one company to the other. But it's fair to say that 80% of the projects don't go longer than 16 weeks. That's the fact. So the introduction is fairly straightforward. We know exactly what we are doing, how we should be approaching this. And of course, the more business units, the more country installations you have in your SAP architecture, the more difficult and complex it becomes. But we'll manage process. This project is all about getting to the first ELP, doing this tool supported. And once we have this price and contract analysis done, for the first time, things become much, much easier over time. And right now we are focusing very much on doing quarterly reporting, but this is going to change. In the future, we are looking to provide daily measurements, daily updated measurements to customers. We are working on that. And although it's not relevant for the big parts of your contract, such as the core ERP system, where the changes don't happen on a daily basis, you have other components in your environment like BTP, which change on a daily basis, and you want to also get a hold on them. So things are changing. We're still developing more and more functionality into this, but please understand this gives you the visibility that you need to manage value, the value of SAP in your company. And that's the most important thing. So we need to be transparent. We, SAP too, needs to be transparent. If you want to understand the real value contribution of SAP in your company, and if you want to stay in control of your costs, you need to understand how they come together, what the components are, how they change over time. And this is the whole idea in what we are providing here. And we are absolutely convinced that this will help you increase and control the value of SAP in your company.
And I think that's a crucial point, though, Francisco. I mean, yes, SAP does give you some tool, that does give you some access nowadays to visibility on what you have consumed. Do they use that for audit purposes and to extract more money from you? We can open the debate about that later. But what we are talking about is proactively managing your environment. We're talking about proactively identifying the trends in your systems, which we're talking about having visibility from a financial perspective so that you can make decisions and you can make changes if needed in your environment before SAP comes running after you for extra money. So this is not just about, yes, we've used 400 FUEs and we thought we only had 300, we need to pay for 300 or 400 more. This is all about identifying this before it all happens. And that's where we're going with all this, making sure that customers have proactive visibility and financial insight into their SAP environment, their holistic SAP environment.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you very much for listening to us today. And we hope you found this interesting. And if you want to know more, of course, contact us and we can hold a detailed presentation and answer your particular questions and your particular concerns in your company. But now we'll go over to the Q&A session where you can explicitly ask for particular parts of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you there. Can't hear you, Stefan.
You can't hear me because I missed out on turning on the mic. That would have been a miracle now. Thanks for that. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. Moved over to the Q&A session. Just as a pre-info, we're obviously going to share the link to the recording so you can review and share with your colleagues. And of course, there is the possibility of having an individual chat on your specific company's needs. I'm going to jump over to the questions panel now and read the first one out to you guys, which is, what do we have to prepare for FinOps from our side? So as a customer, I suppose. What do you think, Tony?
I guess the beauty of the answer to that is not a great deal. Just make the decision that this is something that's interesting for you and that you want to have this visibility into your SAP licensing moving forward. Once you've made that decision, we basically do all the work. Obviously, we need customers to give us access to information, but we guide them how to collect it. We guide them how to communicate it. We guide them we do all the uploading into the tooling, of course, and we do all the analysis and we do all the reporting. So I'm not saying there's nothing for a customer to do, but the most important thing is, yes, this sounds interesting, and yes, this could work for me. And of course, that goes on to what Francisco just said. That if you've made that decision or you've made that thought process, then just pick up the phone or send an email, and of course we're more than happy to give a more detailed, bespoke demonstration and a more detailed conversation about your particular environment.
So even though I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that even though a lot of SAP contracts seem similar, a lot of SAP environments, you think they might all be the same, but there's always nuances, there's always differences, there's always certain things that you need to take into account. So yeah, having a chat with us about your particular environment would be the way to go.
So no specific gathering of pre-informations, technical setup or something, probably apart from maybe having a look at SAMQ, having it run on the system. Yeah.
I mean, SAMQ is a prerequisite to a certain extent of our FinOps manager to give us the baseline for information. Mm-hmm. But even that's just an SAP add-on. It's not a 6-month process to put it into your system. It's an 8-hour process of your basis time over a couple of weeks to get it up and running and to get the information that we need. So not much is the answer. Just the willingness and the desire to get the visibility, really.
I have another one which I really think is good, and I love to answer. I usually say to this, yes, we probably can't really share the name and the data, but we do. It says, Does FOCUS Labs have reference customers and success stories? And we could understand this as, are you doing this for the first time, you guys?
The answer is yes, of course. So we do have case studies. References, yes, we do have them. Not everyone, and I'm sure if there are customers on this call, I'm sure not every customer wants to advertise that they are monitoring their SAP environments for SAP to know. But yes, of course we have case studies, and yes, of course we have references, and we have some very big customers as well. So very names that
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the size and the branch. Is there industries, I don't know, this is more suitable to than to others? Because I'd say no, because it works as long as you're using SAP.
Exactly. I mean, obviously some industries have a more complexity than others just by their very nature. But our tooling and our knowledge base works in any vertical that you happen to be in. So no, it doesn't matter how many users. It doesn't matter how many users. It doesn't matter how on the upper scale. It doesn't matter how many users you have. Complexity, to be honest with you, is where we come into our own. The more complex your environment, the more value we can bring. It just makes sense. But that doesn't mean that at the lower end we don't add a huge value as well, because as we all know, SAP is a very expensive animal to keep. So just saving costs anywhere is a very valid way of moving forward.
Thanks for this. There is another one with a touch of dark humor, I would say. I'd read it out as it is. It goes, will this tool work on evaluating current on-premise landscapes in order to later on compare to what it will mean moving towards the cloud, in brackets, the awakening? I love that one. Yes
and no. We obviously have different services for your vision of how you want to be in the future. So SAMQ has simulation capability within it around usage and authorization and simulating your user environments in the different areas. And our Advisory Cube business case builder is what we use for all the total cost of ownership analysis across the various different scenarios. So yes and no. Yes, we can use FinOps to manage an on-premise environment, of course. It is designed for cloud, but there's no reason why we can't put all the same information into FinOps Manager from your on-premise environment and manage it in the same way. But if you're going through a thought process of what's right for you in the future, it would be a combination of SAMQ and Advisory Cube BCB, with the aim of going into FinOps to manage the environment in the long run, in the long term.
Thanks,
so I'm very bad at giving long answers to short questions.
No, that's very good. So you're giving the whole overview and the context. I think that's really valuable. Let me just check. There is quite a bit, something that I need. Some of it is technical. I need to get back on after this Q&A session. Okay, here's another one. What is the best way to find out what all this means to me individually? So I suppose as a company, so what's the effect?
My email address is tony.wise@focuslabs.com. Francisco has a very similar email address. What it all means to you is just give us a call, chuck us an email, and we'll have a completely obligation-free conversation with you about what it means in your environment. It's as simple as that. If you call us, as I say, you're making no commitment whatsoever. You're just finding out how we can help you.
Yeah, I also think the best way to look at the demo is one side, but have an individual chat about your very individual needs that you probably don't want to discuss in a questions and answers panel here would be the best way. Okay, I think we've reached the end of the questions here. Tony already said it. It's tony.wise@focuslabs.com in this case, or labs@focuslabs.com, and I'll distribute your question. Find out when it's the best way to have a chat and maybe have an individual demo on it. Other than that, Tony is also present on LinkedIn as well as Francisco, if that's your preferred way of communication. And I'd say that's it for this time. Tony?
No, thanks as usual to everyone who attends. We always appreciate having as many of you here as we possibly can. So thank you, and I look forward to speaking to you in the future. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.